2009, 2010, 11. And he's not just an economist, he's successful in private business. That's the real market, somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right.
And he said, look, this is designed to destroy us. They've done it in the third world. They're going to do it here. And now we're here. We've been right. And instead of getting a gold star and saying, hey, these guys are great, let's listen to Ron Paul, let's listen to Alex Jones. No, Chris Matthews says in this new piece, I have the script that's coming out next Wednesday, that we are basically Nazis with no evidence. I mean, it's like we're the enemy. We're the bad guys. We have to be dealt with now. Again, because they are the bad guys. Chris Matthews represents the real bad guys. And they know that if we have credibility, they're going to get defeated. So the bad guys are saying we're the terrorist, and in all their training, their Homeland Security mic reports, it's us, the gun owners, the conservatives, the libertarians, the anti-war activists, anybody who is really for freedom and transparency. We are what Homeland Security is designed for. It's not for the people with turbans. Go ahead.
It's just interesting to me that when we actually hear them say we're in a recovery. But what's funny is they talk out of two sides of their mouth. Because when Alan Greenspan is saying we're hitting a credit tsunami, Alan Greenspan, this isn't Ron Paul, that's Alan Greenspan. When Comptroller David Walker is saying this is 25 times bigger than what we thought, and those people are agreeing with you, Alex Jones, who are agreeing with Ron Paul, who's agreeing with anarchists and radicals and leftists and socialists, people, please, it's time to pay attention right now.
Exactly. The problem is the bankers who engineered this, though, they're saying, oh, it's 25 times worse. According to the economists we've talked to, it's more like 500 times worse. And they know that. They knew when they created 1.5 quadrillion in derivatives, hundreds and hundreds, some cases thousands, more fake wealth than there is real assets in the planet. They knew that they got all the power on the way up. They could buy anybody. And on the way down, they still pose as the savior and enslave everyone. I mean, it is a life and death situation. Ron Paul and others who are great economists, and he's an economist as well, not just a medical doctor. You know, he's been given doctorates for his research and papers on it from von Mies and others. They have, put on record that there's a way to monetize the debt, but not have the bankers monetize it. There's a way to fix this. It's going to be painful. But we should have done it a decade ago. I mean, now we are wrecked any way you cut it. But if we let these people continue to pilot things, they're not going to give us any quarter.
That's right.
I mean, they're not going to stop.
Listen, if Ron Paul got elected president, right, we went back on the gold standard and we ended the Fed tomorrow, we'd still be in a boatload of trouble. But that ain't going to happen, I don't think.
No.
So we're in real trouble. And, I'm right out there with you fighting this, but I'm also going to look out for myself. I'm also going to prepare my family. Right? And so in this series, we have 150 tips that people can do, right? We can, let me say this. The series is designed not just as a documentary, not just as a survival guide. It's actually designed as a home study course. Throughout the movie, these title cards come up throughout the full 10 hours, and it tells you to do things and write things down and research things and make phone calls and gather your friends around, educating yourself and your family. The time is now. We have to do it, Alex.
Well, we do. And give folks the toll-free number one more time in case they didn't have that. And I'll give the listeners the website. It's thefallofamerica.net, www.thefallofamerica.net. We've got links up on Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com as well. Give folks that number.
The number to get the series is 1-800-655-1577. That's 1-800-655-1577.
Now, Brian Kraft is our guest in studio right now, the filmmaker, along with Jimmy Petula and others that made The Fall of America and The Western World, a Survival Guide. But I want to shift gears into something that because I keep going back to the demonization. The good news is when they demonized Rand Paul in the last 3 weeks and lied about what he said and changed the transcript from Rachel Maddow, where he had a 3-second delay and he was going, excuse me, yes, I can hear you. She's like, what? Yes, you're forgetting the Civil Rights Act? He says, well, no, I didn't say that. I can't hear. And then they changed the transcript. And that's not even one of his issues. He doesn't even talk about it. It's not on his platform. He made clear he doesn't want to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. But it's another media hoax. Just like Howard Dean's not perfect, but he's better than Obama. And so they made a big deal out of his roar when there was a crowd screaming, but he had a cordio mic where you could only hear him, basically, and they made, hyped that, we can't have Howard Dean, who would have beaten Bush, but the cousin Kerry ran instead. And so, the point is, they rig these things. This big hoax of, oh my gosh, Rand Paul can't win now. His poll numbers in every major poll went up after the 3 weeks of demonization. So as a filmmaker, I want to play for you the trailer, the short trailer from The Rise of the New Right, a documentary that is being put out right now, and it's airing next Wednesday.
I have a message from the Tea Party. We've come to take our government back.
There's a rising tide on the right.
I think the government's too big.
Voiced not just by extremists, but by recruits from the neighborhood.
Our president is a liar.
The Tea Party is determined to take power. What does that mean for America?
We are in deep, Taryn. Deep, deep.
I'm Chris Matthews with a hard look at the rise of the new right.
Premieres June 16th at 7 on MSNBC.
Now, we knew that this was going to be a hit piece early on, but I actually, last night, we got the script sent to us by somebody inside MSNBC that is concerned about it, and it's worse than I even thought. It is incredible. It implies, word for word, that I'm going to make my listeners go out and murder everyone. It says that this is the same stuff Hitler said, and that we're basically the new Hitler, and that those of us that don't like what the banks are doing are Nazis, with no evidence. This is a desperation move. What's your take on it?
It is a desperation move. Look, the people in power, the elite, they know exactly what they've done. It's planned. It's built into Keynesian economics. They always inevitably fail. They always inevitably collapse the system and then move on to something else, right? And prop it up again for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and then it collapses again. That's how it's built.
Because the Ponzi scheme gives them an unfair trade advantage.
That's right.
So they've got to run a Ponzi scheme, but they don't go to jail like Madoff at the end. They become your dictator.
Right. They spend the money before the inflation kicks in, right? So, of course, they're doing that. We're in a time right now where they are putting their, what would you say, Alex? They're putting the ribbon on their present to the world.
Yeah, they're bringing us into the controlled implosion. But the problem, and they say this in their own writings, is the world is awake and looking past Obama, past Bush, past Gordon Brown, past Angela Merkel, past Nicolas Sarkozy, past Rudd, to the power structure, and they are really concerned that they may have bitten off more than they can chew.
That's right. And between that and knowing that this is supposed to implode, they're doing everything they can do right now to keep you further and further in the dark.
While they race to militarize police and to set up more prisons and to try to...
camps. I think it's important that we quickly talk about what the world could look like when the economy crashes.
Yeah, talk about that.
Whether it's a year, 2, 3, or 4 years, right? Well, what would we think would happen if there are bread lines? If the supermarket closes and you have not listened to us today, right? And you don't have food for your family, right? And you don't listen to us today, and you don't have anything in your safe at home, right? And you can't get to your gold.
And you don't have firearms.
And you don't have firearms, and you're not off the grid, and you're completely reliant upon the system that has lied to you since birth. Of course you're going to be angry. Of course you're going to go out in the street to try and fend for yourself.
And look at Haiti. They've had 200,000 people die, thousands dying a week. You don't hear about them anymore.
Exactly. So when that happens, when you have the bank failures and the supermarkets closing, and look, I want to say one thing. I hope I'm wrong. And I know I sound inflammatory.
Well, regardless, we're already in a real depression, and the question is how severe.
Right.
And every evidence shows it's going to be the biggest ever.
The biggest ever. When you've got people, again, when you've got noted multimillionaire economists agreeing with Alan Greenspan and Warren Buffett, saying it's the greater or greatest depression. People, look out. Get to work right now. You still have time. We're not in the middle of this yet, right? If this were 1929, you still have a few years. But you got to start now because this work takes time.
Yeah, for 2.5 years, after 29, they were saying it's fine, it's fixed.
We're at the bottom, we're at the
bottom. And then 33 is when they announced, here's your new president, War Powers Act, turn your gold in. This is we're in a depression. And then that destroyed confidence even more. We'll be right back with our guest. Amazing information, ladies and gentlemen. The Fall of America and the Western World, 10-hour documentary film. Stay with us.
Fatigue, headaches, allergies and asthma, chronic disease. Is your home making you sick? Here's a fact. Our indoor air quality is getting worse, and the causes include chemicals, toxic gases, dust, pollen, dander, and even chemtrail particulates. To rid your home of these contaminants, get the best priced air purifiers in the industry at airfiltersandpurifiers.com. Our air purifiers are specialized to fit your needs, from allergy sufferers to the sleep deprived to the chemically sensitive. And with no tax, free shipping, a 5-year warranty, and a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose, and healthy, purified, clean air to gain. Call us at 800-499-2418 or go to airfiltersandpurifiers.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off when you use promo code GCN. Call 800-499-2418 or go to airfiltersandpurifiers.com. Your trusted advisor.